And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new #1 issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for books that are coming out on September 10th, 2025. Thanks for joining me once again. I apologize for not having a show last week. I was traveling out of town. We went to a state fair, set up my wife and my sister-in-law's crochet business, and I didn't have time to read the books or do the show. The internet was not the best, so I tried, but it just did not work out as I had hoped it would. So, but I am here this week, and there's a lot of new #1s this week, and it's a good week to do this show. I actually have no honorable mentions or shout outs this week. It's just all straight first issues that I might try. So that's kind of cool. And I have a couple of big books that I'm going to recap that came out this week. So let's jump right into those. So the first one, obviously, I'm going to talk about is Spider-Man 94 issue #1. For those that are not familiar, this is continuing off the 90s animated series, which was just beloved by fans of that time. I was one of those. I absolutely love this series. I anticipated it every single week, and was just so excited for this and X-Men later on. Those two shows were just kind of pivotal in my comics and my superhero life, I guess, if you will, because this was kind of young in my comic reading collecting kind of thing when this came out. So it was just, I don't know, it was special. It was a special time, and it was really cool. There was never anything like quite like this before. Obviously, since we've had a lot of improvements on animation, all that kind of stuff, but the storytelling for a series. A lot of people talk about Batman the animated series, how the storylines were mature, more mature, and everything. But this and X-Men, they dealt with a lot of serious issues in a fun and vibrant way. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of storylines that weren't just like simple and I don't know. It was just these were some special cartoons. So uh, holds a special place in my heart. So obviously, when this was announced, I was excited and definitely was going to try it out and see what it's all about. So where the story picks up, if you're familiar with Spider-Man comics at all, we are getting Moreland and Kane in this issue, and Spider-Man has just gotten the real Mary Jane back. And after a clone of Mary Jane died in his arms after they got married, and all this stuff, and I will say this: it almost felt like Marvel's kind of trolling us a little bit here because one of the opening lines is, we're going to be together forever, and I'm never going to let her go again. We're going to be married and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? So, but we get it here. We get it in this series. So they are technically married because he married the clone, but there's this whole thing between them how he's afraid to commit, even though he's technically married to her, and she's upset about it because that's not me, yada yada. Anyway, in the meantime, you have Moreland sending Kane after Spider-Man, and of course things go crazy with that. We get our introduction fully to Moreland here, and now we're gonna have the other story play out, I guess, through this series, which is kind of interesting from the animated series perspective. As someone's decided to do dishes in the middle of my recording, that's okay though. But I don't know if y'all can hear that on the mic, but it was pretty loud here. But anyway, it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, so yeah, it was a pretty good start to this series. It obviously brought back a lot of memories of that animated series back in the day, and I think they captured it pretty well. The art style was pretty reminiscent of it. Some of the close-ups of Peter were a little off, but other than that, it was pretty good. The writers on this, J.M. Dematis, I can never pronounce his name correctly, and Jim Tao is the artist on this. So I'm not too familiar with Jim Tao's work, but I think it captured the tone of that series pretty well. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the series going forward, and we'll see how it continues to progress from here. All right, next up is the book that everybody was anticipating this week. This was the subject of blind bags and all this stuff. This is Batman issue 1, the relaunch, new volume. Matt Fraction writing this with art by Jorge Jimenez, who continues on with it. But Matt Fraction taking over writing duties, and it says a bold new era of Batman starts here. Now, obviously, a lot of people were excited about the covers. There's all these special foil variants that you could have gotten. I watched Mike Spiderslayer's haul to see which ones he opened, and he got some cool ones. Maybe I'll have to try to get one of those Jim Lee's off of him. We'll see. But and then I fast forwarded Comic Uno's episode just to get to the blind bags because I didn't want to get spoiled on her reviews, because we don't like watching each other's shows before our live show. So we go in without any kind of knowledge of each other's opinions on the books. Yeah, so I personally, I just got cover A, couldn't afford all that stuff. So maybe I'll try to get one, secondhand later on. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, as far as the book itself goes, obviously you're picking up on threads that were planted in the previous volumes, where Vandal Savage is still like the commissioner. Jim Gordon is now back on the police force, but he's a beat cop, which I thought was kind of interesting. And he's kind of partnered up with a newbie, with a rookie, and kind of showing her the ropes while everything goes chaotic. Batman's got some new tech, and it seems like from the interview in the back of the book that each issue is going to deal with a different villain. Some of them classic, some of them brand new, and we're just going to have like the series of complete stories. Each issue is going to be a complete story. Obviously, we get a cliffhanger at the end, so it's going to lead into the next story, but we still got closure on the Killer Croc story in this issue, which interesting developments with Killer Croc. I don't know how I feel about like each issue just being its own story and not continuous arcs. I assume there's these underlying plots that are going to play out through the series, but I thought it was a decent book. It didn't blow me away. I was hoping for like, okay, it says bold new era, let's just kind of go all out with it. But it was very subtle touches. Again, new suit, new tech, these the gauntlets that he put on to fight Killer Croc and all that stuff, and Robin's getting arrested by the cops, and obviously that's been an ongoing thing with Vandal Savage in charge. He no soups and that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. I think this was a well crafted issue. It was very well written. I like the captions, the narration, the way it was done to show like the different tech that he employed, and the way that it was laid out and everything. So, and I thought the art was really good, and all of that. But it just, I don't know, story wise, I thought the Killer Croc story was fun, and it was cute the way that he's kind of de-evolving and he's kind of childlike and all that, while his exterior is evolving. I thought that was kind of cool, but I don't know. It didn't blow me away, and that's what I was looking for. But it definitely intrigued me and definitely kept me interested throughout the whole issue. Again, it was very well written. It just wasn't like boom, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm definitely going to continue with the book, and we'll see where it goes from here. But that is all the recaps I have. So we're going to jump into the first issues coming out next week. All right, first up, we have the Undead Iron Fist issue number 1. This is written by Jason Liu, and interesting story here where supposedly all the bearers of the Iron Fist are supposed to die by the age of 33. But the weird thing is, Danny Rand is not Iron Fist right now, at least as far as I recall. Last time I read an Iron Fist story, it was another character that had taken over the Iron Fist, and Danny Rand was like normal human and everything. So I don't know if this is in continuity or if this is just kind of a side story, or what to think about this particular series. And I don't know, like I assume it's a mini series. It doesn't say if it's a one shot or not. But yeah, so basically Danny Rand is back, and he's got to take out this thing that threatens the legacy of the Iron Fist. So is he Iron Fist again, or is he just trying to prevent the next Iron Fist from dying. I'm not clear on that exactly. The description is a little bit vague in that. So yeah, I don't know what to think about this one. The last couple of Iron Fist series I tried, I ended up dropping. Just wasn't my thing ultimately. Um, it seems to suffer from like the first issue is pretty decent, and then as it continues to go on, it just kind of, for me anyway, it loses my interest. So um, I might try this one out. I'm kind of on the fence with this one, so I'm gonna give this one a possibly good. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, next up we have a new series from Mad Cave Studios. This is called "It Killed Everyone But Me." So this is based around this girl who was the sole survivor of this massacre of these teenagers in 1996, and she survives, and she's kind of got survivor's guilt and everything. But decades later, now it's happening again, and there's a disappearance of two local teens, and now she's grown up, she's a single parent and all this stuff. But now all these demons are resurfacing, and it says she'll have to dig up the real monster she buried away all those years ago. So we're gonna have to see exactly what that's all about, if it's who she became to survive, or what it is. But the thing that has me excited is this is written by Ryan Parrott, who I'm a big fan of. Done Power Rangers Rogue Sun, and the artist is Letizia Katanichi from House of Slaughter and The Neighbors. So pretty cool team here. It seems like it's going to have a little bit of a horror bent. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about this one. Excited to try it and see what it's all about. So I'm going to give this one a potentially good. And yeah, we'll see. Next up, we have a series from Dark Horse Comics called Nocturnals: The Sinister Path, issue 1. This is by Dan Brereton. And this book was actually funded on Kickstarter a few years ago, and I think it did like $60,000 or something like that. So now they've taken, I think it was done as a graphic novel, so now they've split it up and serialized it and re-released it through Dark Horse, is my understanding of it. So I don't know much about this. I just know that it's a supernatural book. It's got monsters, and you've got this team of I don't know what exactly they're vigilantes, I guess, but they fight supernatural threats, and so that's what this is all about. I think it's kind of cool and timely for the time of the year that we're about to head into, and you got the pumpkin on the cover there, so that's kind of cool. So I don't know what to think about this one. I haven't really looked into it much. I don't know about the art or anything like that, so I'm gonna give it a possibly good. Not sure whether I'm gonna read this one or not, but definitely want to point it out, especially with the Kickstarter background. And yeah, so if you're into that kind of thing, and especially again going into Halloween season coming up, it might be right up your alley. Speaking of spooky season, we got another horrific styled tale here, but this one is in the Star Wars universe. This is from the Dark Horse line of Star Wars comics, not the Marvel line. So just to be clear there. And this is written by Kevin Scott, who I believe has done a lot of the previous Star Wars stuff. But this is Star Wars Tales from the Nightlands, issue 1. And it's an Anakin Skywalker story with his friend Twi'lek. And they are trying to summon a ghost of a loved one to say goodbye. And they end up connecting with the Nightlands, which is where the horror comes out. And the Star Wars boogeyman comes to fruition here. So that's interesting. It's an interesting concept to tell kind of a horror story within the Star Wars universe. I think that's kind of unique. And so yeah, that's it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna give that one a potentially good. And yeah, if you're a big Star Wars fan, definitely look that one up. Next, we have Valiant Beyond All New Harbinger, issue number 1. This is the latest in this Beyond universe. If you're new to this is basically their absolute universe or ultimate universe. They even use the verbiage in that first line in the description there, kind of teasing it. So this is a brand new era for the Harbinger team, and it's a new cast of characters as well. You've actually got Archer on this team, along with, let's see, we've got Archer, Flamingo, Alloy, and Crane are the new Harbingers in this version of the story. And unlike like previous um, versions and universes of Valiant, where the Harbingers are basically always on the run. Um, they've come to a point where regular people and the Psyots can live together, and that's an interesting twist on this. But now these Harbingers have to take on this terrorist group called the Black Sheep that is holding a building hostage and all that stuff. So this is written by Fred Van Lente, who did a lot of the Archer and Armstrong stuff. So I really liked his Archer and Armstrong stuff, and we've got Archer on this team, so that's a win for me. I've enjoyed the Valiant Beyond book so far, the ones that I've read. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one, and I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. Speaking of new takes on old properties, we've got Powers 25, issue 1, Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming back with their acclaimed series that became a TV show and all this stuff. Powers is back. Now, I have never really read Powers. I think when they brought it back at Marvel, I tried it. So I don't have a lot of history with the property. I actually tried the TV series as well. I only watched an episode though. I think it was it like on the PlayStation Network or something. It was on a weird channel that it came on. It was odd, so it was kind of hard to find. But anyway, I do think it's really cool that they are bringing it back. Obviously, it's the 25th anniversary since the first issue of this came out 25 years ago in 2000. So bringing back your favorite characters from that universe and taking them on new adventures, I guess. It says, oh, it's a brand new monthly series as well. It's not a mini series, so that's cool. That's really cool. Under the watchful eyes of legendary captains Dean Pilgrim and Inky Sunrise, the new detectives are running through a minefield of all new dangers. So that's really cool. The unsolvable Powers murder and all this stuff. If you're not familiar with Powers, it's basically a police force that investigates crimes that involve superpowers, if I'm not mistaken. Interesting concept going from the other side of it. It's basically like if you're in DC Comics looking at like a Gotham series, a Gotham PD series, you know what I mean? So pretty cool that they're doing this for the 25th anniversary. For me, I'm going to give it a promise based on the history of this series or of this franchise. Next, we have from Marvel Imperial War Nova Centurion #1. This is the latest one shot in the Imperial War tie-ins, and this one's all about Nova. This is kind of spilling out of was it in Imperial? I think it was in the third issue of Imperial that they kind of touched on this, if I recall correctly. Basically, Rich Rider, the Nova, has gone to the Xandarian world mine and has realized that it's going to be lost forever. All that knowledge of this entire planet, of this entire civilization, is going to be lost unless he can come up with basically the money to pay for it to stay online. So, and that's a big deal, especially with this war and this murder mystery going on. I think his side story is a little more interesting than some of the others. So, and I've always been a Rich Rider fan. I'm a New Warriors fan. So I'm definitely going to check this one out. And this one is also written by Jonathan Hickman and Jed McKay, it says here. So that's kind of cool as well. So I'm definitely going to check this one out. And I'm going to give this one a potentially good. Just because, the She-Hulk one was okay. And I don't know. Just this whole event hasn't been as good as I hoped it would be. It's just kind of been okay. So I just kind of hedging my bets with this one. Next, from DC Comics, we have C.O.R.T, Children of the Round Table, issue 1. This is by Tom Taylor and Danielle DiNiccolo. So fantastic creative team here. I love Tom Taylor's work. Daniel Nicolo's done Nightwing, Seven Secrets, Power Ranger stuff. Fantastic artist. This is a fun concept where you have these kids that are basically, it says they were they used to be known as, or they are known as, the Camelot Core, and they would protect ancient secrets and all that stuff. So very all ages kind of material here, but set in the kind of the backdrop of Camelot, but in the modern era, which I think is kind of fun. I could definitely see this being like a cartoon or whatever, so that kind of pulled me in right away. And then, of course, the creative team on top of that just sells it even further for me. So I just think it could be a lot of fun. Um, doesn't seem like it necessarily ties into anything, or you need to have any previous knowledge of anything. It's just a fun story from top-notch creators. So yeah, I'm always here for that, and I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. And I'm actually really looking forward to this one. So we'll see. We'll see how that first issue fares. Next up, we have Murder Podcast issue number 1. This is written by Jeremy Hahn with art by Mike Tizarand, who I'm not familiar with. I think he's an up and coming. It says comics next superstar. So yeah, this is the debut title from Ignition Press. And this is kind of an interesting concept. So basically, there was this true crimes podcast, and it ended, but new episodes keep popping up in everyone's feed. But when they listen to it, they kind of become enraged in this murderous kind of vibe, and they go out and start committing crime. So something is, persuading them to do that. And Jeremy Hahn obviously has written a lot of horror comics, horror books. So very in tune with the kind of material he puts out. Red Mother comes to mind, really, really good. The Beauty. So if you're a fan of any of those, or Hahn's previous work, you might be into this. I like the whole thing around, murder podcasts and all that stuff. I like Only Murderers and different things. What was the one with Kaylee Cuoco? Based on a true story. I like that kind of stuff. So this sounds like a lot of fun to me. So definitely going to check this one out, and I'm going to give this one a potentially good. All right, now we get into some of the heavier hitters here. We have Punisher Red Band issue 1 from Marvel. This is written by Benjamin Percy, who's been killing it with kind of the street level characters, kind of the anti-hero characters. He's been kind of killing it with like Wolverine and why am I blanking? Ghost Rider and characters like that. So now he's on Punisher, and Frank Castle is back. Frank Castle is once again the Punisher. So a lot of people that were not happy with the quote unquote fake Punisher that kind of filled in there for a while, you do have the original Punisher back in a Red Band series. Yeah, I don't care about the Red Band part of it. It never pushes the envelope as much as they seem to think that they do. But apparently Frank Castle is back, and he has no memories of all that stuff that happened where he turned evil and joined, that what was it, the Hand or whatever it was, in that Fantastic series. And kind of got superpowers and all that stuff. He doesn't have any memories of that, apparently. So he's trying to piece it all together in this series, so that could be fun. It's been a while since we've gotten Frank Castle, so I'm kind of excited about that. And I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. Next up, we have from DC Comics Red Hood issue number 1. Jason Todd. He's left Gotham. He's in a new city, and he's discovered that there is a serial killer taking out cops, and so he's investigating this, and to help him with this is the Huntress. So Huntress and Red Hood teaming up together sounds pretty fun to me. Who's the creative team on this? This is Gretchen Felker Martin, who I'm not familiar with, and Jeffrey Spokes, who the name sounds familiar, but I'm not right offhand. I can't think of what they've done before. But I really like Jason Todd. I like the Huntress, and we don't get a whole lot of Red Hood stories these days, so I'm excited about this one, just to try it out and see what it's all about. I don't really have any expectations for this one. It is an ongoing series, which I think is cool. So for this one, I'm going to give it a potentially good, just again because I'm not familiar with the creative team. But yeah, I'm excited to try it out. Next, we have from Dynamite Entertainment, we have the Blue Falcon and Dynomutt, and this brings me back to my childhood. Another, throwback property. This was a short and other things. He obviously teamed up with Scooby Doo here and there. It's a Hanna-Barbera superhero duo. Dyno-Mutt's kind of like a cyborg dog, and Blue Falcon is kind of like a Batman type character. And this is actually written by Jimmy Palmiotti with art by Pasquale Qualano. So really good art, really good writer, bringing this classic property back to life at Dynamite, which they've been doing a lot of really cool things with their franchises. Space Ghost is a incredible book right now, so I'm excited about this one, and hopefully they'll be able to do with these characters what David has been able to do with Space Ghost. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one as well. And I'm going to give this a potentially good, just because with these kind of revival series, it's you never know what you're going to get until you get it and you try it out. So we'll see what this one is, but I'm hoping that it's really good. And speaking of blasts from the past, spinning out of Mad Cave's Speed Racer series is Racer X, and I believe this was this is kind of covering Racer X when he was still Rex Racer before he supposedly died and all that stuff. And so we're going to see that story of this character. And this is written by Mark Russell with art by Nuno Platti. So yeah, I'm excited for this one too. I've enjoyed the couple of issues of Speed Racer we've gotten. So learning more about their version of Racer X is cool. And for this one, I will give it a promisingly good. And lastly, for the first issues, we've got X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha issue 1. This is written by Jeff Loeb with art by Simone DeMio. So anybody that's been watching any of my content for any amount of time knows that I'm a huge fan of the X-Men Age of Apocalypse storyline, big crossover years ago. One of my favorite stories of all time. So this story is actually bringing those X-Men into the current Marvel universe. Somehow they've kind of left their timeline and are coming into this one. I didn't really read the description beforehand, so let's see. Taking place in the direct aftermath of the original crossover's explosive finale, it reignites the mission of this iconic reality's X-Men as they journey here to ensure their universe's survival. So that's kind of interesting. It is kind of a flashback series, which I was kind of hoping it was taking place in the present day. But still, I think it's kind of a cool concept. And just like Nate, X-Man kind of crossed over into the main universe. It's always cool to see, characters that you loved from one timeline kind of jump into another. So I'm looking forward to it either way, especially with Jeff Loeb writing it. So I'm giving this one a promisingly good. And that's it for the first issue. So as usual, I will briefly mention a few other books that I'm looking forward to coming out this week. First up, we've got The Unchosen, issue number 3. This is David Marquez's series at Image. I really enjoyed the first couple of issues. It's kind of right up my alley. It's definitely one of those books that's not for everyone. But I always like the concept of a kind of an unassuming chosen one, and they're fighting against it, and ultimately they're like the secret weapon in this war or whatever. And this character, this girl, is kind of still trying to come to grips with all of that so far. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far and excited for the next issue. Red Coat issue number 14 is actually a prelude to this upcoming new series called First Ghost from Ghost Machine. And this is set in the year 1814, where the British Army has Washington, D.C. under siege. And during all this chaos, of course, we get Simon Pure, our main character, in the mix of everything. So I'm curious to see what exactly this is preluding, what this First Ghost series is all about, and how that ties in here. So as they continue to expand their universe. Feral number 16, Lord has been found guilty of crimes. As we saw last issue, he was kind of accused, and now he's got to be on trial in this pet city. with all these. Every time they think they've found a safe haven from the rabid animals outside, they find themselves in a new nightmare, and that's where we're at once again. So Pharaoh is just a phenomenal series. Tony Fleek's killing it all across comics right now, so definitely check this one out if you haven't. Wolverines and Deadpools issue number 3. This is actually the finale of this little crossover. I didn't realize it was just 3 issues. It says it's the grand finale of writer Cody Ziegler's epic tale. So we have the Shadow King versus, Wolverine and Deadpool and their kids. Enough said. Then we have Green Lantern Corps issue number 8 as the Lanterns are facing off against the Sun Eaters of Oa, and this mystery of Kelly's glove continues to come to light. So we're going to see more about that. The series I mentioned earlier in the show, Space Ghost, issue 2 of volume 2. David Pepos and Jonathan Lau killing it on this series from all the first volume, and the first issue of this second volume was really solid as well. So always excited for more Space Ghost. Radiant Black issue number 37. We have the series co-creator artist Marcelo Costa back for this new arc, and Marshall is ready to take his place as Chicago's favorite superhero. So another great issue of Radiant Black on the horizon. And finally, Transformers issue number 24, the final issue, I believe, by Daniel Warren Johnson before Robert Kirkman takes over. It's promises a shocking ending. Actually, it says it's the most shocking ending to any comic book this year. I mean, that's hyperbole, of course, but Transformers has been full of shocks since this series launched 24 issues ago. So I'm excited to see how he wraps up his run on this. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Kirkman and Mora do going forward with this series. But that's it. That's all the books I have to talk about this week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any of the episodes when they go live. Of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics, or type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care. Keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon.